Last game in the SEC we're going to discuss, and this was paying off the tease from earlier. Ole Miss at Vanderbilt. Kempom sitting at Ole Miss -2. I don't think it opens anywhere close, and if it does, I would expect money to come in on Vandy in a must-win home spot. I know shot quality certainly favors the Commodores
Mhm.
overall, and in this spot, I know you'll get to that in a second, but my handicap on this game with Ole Miss, coming off of that really just disjointed effort against Mississippi State at home last Saturday. The effort was flat out garbage in that one.
Yeah,
Shot quality be damned. And actually, shot quality had that one as a slight Ole Miss win. So
right.
underperforming kind of correlates with
That
what.
checks out.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does. And Chris Beard being a Bob Knight disciple, you know what happened this entire week. And that isn't any sort of a narrative. They had a whole week to prep for this game. So I would expect Ole Miss to come completely zoned in. I've touched on it on previous podcasts here with you, Justin. I'm pretty high on this Rebels team long term. I had a preseason future on Ole Miss. I added to that Final Four futures wise going back to a couple weeks ago. So despite it being a must win spot for Vandy, you could argue this is a must win, get right game for Ole Miss after that terrible effort against Mississippi State, in state rival, already losing to the Bulldogs earlier in the season. Shot quality has Vandy due for some defensive 3-point regression in a positive sense. But Ole Miss, this is where I kind of wonder if water is going to meet its level here for Vanderbilt defensively. Ole Miss shot just 25% from deep against Mississippi State. Pretty clean looks, which is why, to a certain extent, Mississippi State maybe shouldn't have won that game according to shot quality. Matthew Morrell also getting another week to rest up that knee. That's been an underlying issue for Ole Miss. He hasn't been healthy of late. So not only Chris
Yeah.
Beard really getting into his guys, but maybe Morrell resting up should pay dividends here for Ole Miss, especially with his shooting from behind the arc. And Ole Miss, if you look at their full body of work, has struggled with teams that dominate the glass. Hello, Mississippi State last week. That isn't really a concern against Vanderbilt. And last thing for me here, Ole Miss's no middle defense is going to be key against a Vanderbilt team that if they don't shoot well from behind the arc, which was an issue, has been an issue pretty much throughout SEC play, especially against Kentucky during the middle of the week, getting blown out at Kentucky and no Lamont Butler or Jackson Robinson in that game for the Wildcats. But when Vandy isn't reliant on their 3-point shooting, and if they don't come out guns a-blazing here in a must-win spot from behind the arc, McLaughlin and Carey, big inside. Ole Miss, they're no middle defense. They don't tend to allow paint touches. So I really like Ole Miss here, despite it being a must-win game for Vanderbilt. You could argue must-win for Ole Miss with a week prep off of that Mississippi State loss. So I'll be on the Rebels here. I'm going to wait, though, just like you're probably going to wait on Tennessee. I'm going to wait to get a better number on Ole Miss.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. It's going to be tough because, that game for Vanderbilt against Kentucky, where they lost by 21, was a shot quality win. Vandy shot 20% from deep, I believe, and was expected to score 10 points more than just on those threes. And then on top of that, Kentucky shot, I believe, 15 of 19 at the rim, didn't miss a free throw, and shot 6 of 9 from mid-range. So that was all like top 3 performance level for them this season. So they caught the worst luck possible. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Shot quality is going to absolutely look at it as though things went according to expectations and not that worst luck. So Vanderbilt still exists as the second best defense in all of shot quality. And we have them rated in the top 20 because of it. There's going to be a lot of reason to take Vandy here. They have had, a loss to Auburn at home by 16, shot quality expected just 2. They beat Texas, their other home game before that. They lost to Kentucky by 1, expected to be a win. Before that, lost to Tennessee by 1, expected to be a loss. Beat South Carolina, and then Mississippi State they lost by 20, but expected to be a win. So they've had some trouble. They definitely can look bad. So if it doesn't go well, it'll definitely, I think, for Ole Miss maybe could blow them out at home. Like I think it's like they're so polar. Like Vandy's so polarized. They're either going to win this game, and they'll probably win it in a close type of battle, or they'll lose in a close type of battle. That is like most of it. But I think of that like group of that cluster of results scenarios, that Vandy's favored in the close game. But there is a large looming beast where Vanderbilt just can't hit anything. Their opponents can't seem to miss against them. They play terrible defense and they get beat by 15 at home. And maybe that's what happens. There's probably a 10, 20% that happens. And then maybe there's like a 20 to 30% chance they lose the close game and a 50% chance they win the close game, So it's going to be tough. The Ole Miss guys are going to have to hit some tough shots. That's what Vanderbilt does. They definitely take away, some of the good looks. They defend the rim and the three-pointer really well, even in the conference. They limit spacing, which is tough to do in the SEC, and they win the turnover battle. And they actually rebound pretty well on defense too. So it'll be interesting. I do tend to lean Vandy on principle. Shot quality thinks this probably would be like a 3-point spread in Vandy's favor. I'm guessing that is not what it is coming out at currently. I think I see it as expected to be a +2 at home, maybe get that +1 if it opens up. But yeah, maybe hard to find a 3 to 4 point edge from shot quality in the SEC. We have strong feelings on Vandy. Likely a play tomorrow for me.
Okay, so going Oppo there in 2 SEC games, and I know you mentioned the spacing for Vanderbilt, but I will say, according to shot
defensive,
quality,
what they allow, not their spacing, like their
right,
right.
Defensive spacing, but you look at open 3-point attempt rate, 5th worst in the conference. So Ole Miss maybe selectively can get their fair share of clean looks from behind the arc. And if they're knocking those down after missing their fair share of them against Mississippi State, like you said, this is a Vanderbilt team at times that can get lethargic offensively. And you look at scoring droughts across college basketball, this per Evan Mia. Vandy, 15th most scoring droughts of 4+ minutes this season. So there is that 15 to 20% outcome where Ole Miss is winning this game by double digits.
Oh yeah, I fully agree with you. It's funny. I mean, not every distribution is just like a perfect bell curve, right? It can be bumpy. It can be very bumpy. There's probably very little chance that this thing is like a 2 to 3 possession loss for Vanderbilt. It's going to be 4 to 5 possessions, or they're going to be in it the whole way. That's just them. And maybe maybe it'll be 9 and we'll have to come up here and say how stupid I am. But look, last night I called a game landing on exactly 6 points when the live line was 5.5. So take that. No, I think Vandy's, interesting team, a bit of a tough one to love, but I like them a lot when they get out of the SEC because they are a fully SEC gauntlet trained team that if they can avoid their peers for a couple rounds will be a real threat to make the Sweet 16. You don't pull off these type of losses in this conference and look this good on shot quality for no reason. They can finish at the rim for sure. And the minute they're not playing other SEC competition, I think their defense will look even a million times better. So it'll be interesting team. These games don't necessarily matter too much. I think they're going to make the dance with the quality. But I would be shocked. I'd be shocked if they missed the dance, Eli. I don't know where everyone has them, but I would be pretty surprised. What's the Torvik bubble wins above bubble for Vandy? I think it's they're plus 1.4. So that's pretty good. I don't think you take big losses losing to teams in the SEC in your WAP. So I'd be shocked. 39th best in the nation in wins above bubble. So pretty good.
Plus money to miss the dance, so the market agrees with you. FanDuel has those odds up for a select amount of teams.
What's the line?
I think it's -200 to make, plus 150 to miss. But schedule, man.
Oh, yeah.
for Vanderbilt is tough. You got Ole Miss here, Texas A&M, Mizzou, Arkansas, and Georgia. Yes, the Bulldogs cost me last Saturday. Yes, they've been pathetic of late, but that game on the road in the regular season finale.